The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to My Morning Coffee, where our conversation is always hot, bold, and full of flavor. My name is Tonya McKenzie. I am a PR consultant for Sand & Shores PR firm. This is Gia.
Hi, I'm Gia and Syreeta. I'm a law enforcement officer for LA County Sheriff's Department. I'm a lieutenant, and I'm also the owner of Mahogany Box, which is a jewelry design and apparel company.
And I am Syreeta Butler, licensed marriage and family therapist. I am a licensed marriage family therapist. We're already starting. It's already happening. Here we go.
So we want to welcome you. We want to welcome you here today to our first episode of My Morning Coffee. Happy 2019. We hope to be a significant part of all the fun, the laughter, and important conversations that you have this year in 2019. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts, sharing ours, and moving these conversations forward. I want to go ahead and announce to you why we decided to do My Morning Coffee. It's important to understand that you have a variety of different ages, different generations, different opinions here on this panel. And it was the brainchild of Miss Gia Sneed, because she is the creative of the group, to bring us together and have a platform where we are able to discuss openly, honestly, and straightforward some of the most pressing issues in our society. This isn't just a black thing or a white thing or a woman, man, married, divorced, kids or not. These are conversations that affect us all, and it is very important that we are in a situation where we are able to share our ideas, one, without judgment, and two, in an open way that allows for others to be able to, take it in and be able to process it in a way where they are able to grow and become more experienced and more knowledge in different areas, maybe that they weren't even aware that they did not have every viewpoint. We make a lot of decisions in regards to how we move forward, not always considering how the people outside of us are affected. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start it off with a little more detail about why this is important. Some of our passions, some of our passion projects, and a little bit more in depth about our occupations and why we are here today.
Well, she's looking at me, so I guess that goes, okay. Let's see, occupation, of course, like I said, I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, but I also have a side hustle of slanging and doing nails. And we'll get into the story of how that happened. But, so going through graduate school, I learned about, no, that's not true. But I do nails as well, and it's a part of my passion projects. And the reason that I feel, did you ask me why I feel this is important?
Yeah.
Why we're doing this?
Why are we doing this? Why are you here?
Why am I here? Because I was summoned. I was summoned by Gia, and I was summoned by Tonya. But I imagine that it's because I have a unique thought process about things that affect our world from a mental health perspective. And not only am I a mental health therapist, but my experience, my expertise is in holistic medicine and holistic psychology. So dealing with the mind, body, and spirit as a whole, and how that comes into play with everything from relationships, child rearing, it plays itself out. So that's the reason I'm here.
Do you have a personal reason? Does these things that we're going to be talking about affect you personally? And if so, how?
No, It doesn't.
None of them?
No, of course they do. As you can see, I'm the runt of the group where I am the jokester. Of course they do. Everything that we're going to speak about on this podcast impacts not only myself, but it also impacts all of us. So we're going to be talking about things like generational trauma. We're going to be talking about things like generational dysfunction and family dysfunction, which I know a lot about. We're going to talk about relationships. We're having conversations about being an entrepreneur and finances. So all those things are personally important to me, and I'm just excited to learn and have fun with.
Awesome. So again, I am the founder of Sand and Shores PR. I got into PR a long time ago when I worked for the YMCA, a nonprofit. As many of you know, nonprofits don't have large budgets, but they are built to make a huge impact. And to be able to do that, I was able to learn on the job, actually, and leverage public relations to be able to help grow, raise money, and open a new facility in a town called Oakley, California. And during that process, I also became very familiar with small businesses and how they make decisions financially, how they get cut, how businesses actually go out of business because they can no longer sustain. The first thing that usually goes is their marketing and PR budget, which, how can you grow a business if no one knows about you? Public relations is one of the easiest ways, I wouldn't say easiest, but is one of the most financially efficient ways to grow your business, but many people don't know how to do it properly. And it was my ability to have these conversations with newspaper editors, magazine publishers, to be able to get the word out about the good work that we were doing. And in that time, I also became nominated and elected to the Chamber of Commerce in Oakley. So with that, I was the first African-American woman on their board. And I was able to take that information, able to take that lesson and continue to help small businesses grow. Today, I am on the board of directors for Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce. And again, our job is to make sure that we advocate for small businesses, which are very important in our communities, all of our communities. Small business is how our country moves forward. We make the world go round. So I love to advocate for companies to be able to get the word out, help them learn how to communicate, let people know about the work that they're doing and the story behind that, because you need to learn how to teach people who you are and what you do. They need to know you and trust you. And I have found a passion in being able to tell those true stories to individuals that need those services or need that business. I'm also a child advocate. That came about due to some things that I went through as a small child. I wrote a book. I'm an author, A Child Memories of Cartoons and Murder. And yes, it is just that. It is a child memories of some pretty horrific things that I witnessed growing up. I am a gun violence survivor. I am a sexual assault survivor. And I know that it is very hard to tell these stories. Many people are afraid of the backlash that they will get from telling these stories and expressing how they made them feel. And more times than not, their adult life is affected by the things that are unresolved in their childhood. I was lucky enough to not be one of those individuals that pretty much destroyed their life dealing with some of the emotional turmoil that took place. And I'm blessed enough to have had a supportive cast, friends, amazing women friends around me, and my husband over the last almost 20 years now that have gotten me through many of those hurdles. So being able to take my story, work with young people, and I also used to coach. I coach young girls. I even coach baseball. So I've dealt with young girls and boys that have gone through some pretty tumultuous situations that many of them have never talked about, but I am able to have the conversation in a way that will allow them to feel comfortable speaking to me. So with that, I advocate for kids. I advocate for their rights. I advocate for our government to make decisions with our youth in mind. And it gives me pleasure to see those things move forward into fruition. So that's my story, child advocate, public relations consultant, and definitely a small business advocate. And I'm here because I love having conversation. We can't solve problems until we actually have a conversation about it, put everything out on the table, and then decide how we move forward. So I love talking to these ladies, and we have a call-in number, and you'll be able to talk to you too. Miss Gia?
Ditto. All of what she said is me too.
Me too.
Me too. Me
Exactly, Syreeta, exactly. Wow. Well, hey, I'm Gia Neal Sneed. And I'm, like I said, I'm a law enforcement officer. I've been a law enforcement officer for about 28 years now. And when I'm not doing my day job, my evening job is I am a designer, a jewelry designer, an artist. I'm the creative spirit of the three. I like to make things, so we're also known in my world as makers. But my husband hates when I say I make things. He says, you're a designer. So for my husband, I am a designer. And really, how my morning coffee came about, really, it actually was a brainchild of mine. One of my other sorority sisters would call me in the morning. She would always say, we need to meet for coffee. And we never could meet for coffee. But she would call me in the morning because I used to take the train to work. And we would have conversations about, our businesses, just about life. And she always said, I really enjoy talking to you. I love our conversations. And I was like, yeah, my morning coffee. Then I was like, oh, hey, that's kind of catchy. Let me hold on to that, that title and see what I could do with it. And eventually, at first, I was just going to, market it with T-shirts and apparel, things like that. And then, hence, fast forward to a couple of months ago, my beautiful sorority sister, Tonya, texts me and says, hey, she sent me a link to something and said, we should do this. You would be great at it. And of course, when your girlfriends text you and tell you you're going to be great at something, you get all pumped. I'm in the car listening to music. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. I could do it. Then I thought about it after I hung up. I was like, what did I just commit to?
Hold on
I don't know anything about a podcast or anything, but I had a concept, and I said, I have this concept. I think it would be great. And here we are now. She has me doing a podcast. So you guys pray for me. Okay. But the reason why we're doing this is because I, too, like having conversations. A lot of people call me and talk to me about a lot of things, and I'm a cheerleader for everybody. I want everyone to succeed, but also, too, I enjoy conversations, more so one-on-one, not in this kind of form. So this is out of my comfort zone, but it's 2019, so I'm going for it. I hope you guys enjoy what we bring, what we're going to bring to you. It is going to be bold. It's going to be strong. Sometimes your coffee is going to be mild. Sometimes it's going to be bold. Sometimes it's might have a little something else in it. But
mine will have whiskey in it.
We're here. We're going to have conversations about a lot of different things that are going on in the community that affect us as women and affect us as family members. And like she said, we're going to touch on a whole lot of different topics from entrepreneurship, beauty, love, entertainment, you name it. We're going to do it. And hopefully you guys will be empowered, be uplifted, and be motivated by some of the things you hear from us. It's going to be fun. We're not going to be serious. And my opinions on this show are the opinions of me, Gia and Sneed, not the opinions of my profession. So I don't want you guys to go say, oh, you heard it from me and it's gospel. No, when I'm speaking as an individual, not as a member of any law enforcement agency. So I wanted to get that out there on the first show. And
can I piggyback on that, though?
Yes, you can.
Because the things that I say are the things that I say. And so don't try calling the Board of Behavioral Sciences on me, trying to tell them that I didn't said it's okay to beat your kids. Because I may say that, I'm not sure. And not beat your kids, but, child rearing tactics and skills. But those are my opinions. All my opinions, not the Board of Behavioral Science, not anyone else. So please don't call the people on me.
I think it's important to acknowledge the various different backgrounds that we do have and why this is so dynamic. With Gia's profession in dealing with women, particularly in the criminal justice system, and Syreeta's profession dealing with individuals with mental health disorders, families that are going through trauma or tragedy and trying to find their way through it. That could include the kids and my background. I am speaking from me in my profession. I have the ability to do that. So I make moves based on how I feel, But much of that is also based on what makes sense and patterns of behavior. I'm very intuitive about people's behaviors and how they move forward. And the same thing that happens to one person may not affect someone the way that it'll affect someone else based on what they've experienced. So, I definitely like to look at that and be able to analyze behavior and how I would move forward based on patterns, not necessarily what someone else would do. It's based on patterns that I've experienced. So we plan on having a good time here, but make sure you understand that they are coming from 3 different perspectives. And it may be 4 or 5 different perspectives based on how I might bring some of my grandmother's or grandfather's opinions that I carry with me. Or Gia might bring in some of the experiences that she has had in the criminal justice system. So it is important that you do understand, not only do we have our professions, but we definitely have our personal experiences that we put a totality in how we express our opinions. So looking at all that, it's not her job. It's not her job. It's her opinion. It's how she feels. And that's how we are going to be moving forward about in a way that explains to you how we feel, how we would move forward, but it's not necessarily how you would or someone else that you deal with. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and yield to Syreeta to talk a little bit more about specifics and what you can expect from us, topics that we're going to cover, how we're going to move forward with those, and what that should mean to you, why it would be important for you to tune in.
Thank you, Tonya. So we are going to talk about a lot, and I think having a rundown, just kind of the things that you can look forward to, is going to be really important. So not the first thing, but you can look forward to us, like I said before, us having conversations about generational dysfunction and trauma, and what that would look like for some, or what that would mean for some, is how are the things that has happened in your family, whether it's your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your grandfather, your father, how are the way in which the things that they struggled with, or the things that they had, how does that impact your life? So the dysfunction and the trauma that they've gone through, how is that passed along from generation to generation? Which I don't think we take enough of a observation or a look at that, but it's really important, just thinking, if you're a person of color, the tragedies and the tragedies that you've endured, or that your family has endured, and how you move from that space, or potentially move from that space. Next would probably be things like finance. We all need to get our money up. So having conversations about financial literacy, savings, how that impacts the way in which you move in the world, the way in which it impacts your spending habits, the savings, all of that. We're going to have a conversation about that. Relationships, of course. We're 3 women who have been in a relationship or are currently in relationships, so we're going to have conversation about how do you, or how are you in relation to others, and not just romantic relationships, but also your friendships. We're going to have hot topics, of course, and the things that Instagram is talking about, the things that Facebook are having a conversation about. Of course, we're going to dive into things that Black Twitter is talking about, because it's always cracking on there. So we
Black
definitely
Twitter?
Black
Black
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I'm gonna hook you up.
Yeah, Black Twitter is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a
Okay.
thing. So we're going to have conversations about, like, we were just coming onto our Facebook page, My Morning Coffee Podcast, and it popped up a before and after or something of what's the
10-year challenge?
It's a 10-year challenge, but it's a really bad 10-year challenge of a celebrity. And I don't know if we're going to get like cease and desist letters, but can we name names here? I'm not sure. We'll figure that out. So we'll have those kind of topics. Of course, talking about mental health. I would not be doing my job if I didn't use this platform to speak about mental health, and having a really in-depth conversation about mental health, especially from a person of color, because we don't talk about it enough. We don't talk about how mental health mental illness has plagued our community, and we're just starting to have the conversation now, but really being able to get into depth. I'll be able to share conversations or share things like diagnosis and maybe signs and symptoms, so to give you a better understanding of what certain mental health diagnoses look like, whether it's for yourself or others, and strategies on how to move through them. And it's not going to be just medication or what medications to take, but it's also about how does your diet, how does exercising lend itself to your mental wellness. Of course, we have to talk about fashion. You saw Gia's head wrap. So we're definitely going to have conversations about fashion. I am not the fashionista of us. That is completely her, so I'll probably be quiet during that segment. But, I may have a little something. I got this as our, can we say names of stores? We'll figure that out, too, because I don't want no
Well, that really is a cute sweater you got from Zara. So, you know what? You're starting off right,
It was on clearance.
Yes, it's nice. I like that.
It was on clearance.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Something that I'm actually really excited to talk about, and I snuck this one in. I didn't tell the other co-host. I'm really excited for us to have a conversation about cannabis because it is something that is super hot in LA. It was passed. It's now legal. 2018, we've had a whole year of cannabis being actually legal here in LA. So I think we should have a conversation about it. If you do it, if you don't do it, some of the benefits, some of the ways that it may impact you, and even the mental health aspect of it. Is cannabis good for you in your mental health challenges? So we'll have conversations about that.
Are you also going to include how there's different forms of where you can get cannabis, how you can ingest it? Most people think of it of smoking, but I'm sure there's other ways that cannabis can be partake in the benefits of that.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That too. Yes. So, of course, you see, as we're having a lively conversation.
I don't know how
that.
I would know all
no,
that.
No, you would know nothing
I have
about
no
that.
idea what you're talking about.
I told you I snuck it in. They're just hearing it for the first time. Also talking about gentrification and how our communities are changing. And it's no secret. If you're a person of color, you know that you're probably being, your rent is too damn high. So we're going to have conversations about that as well. And a host of other things. I'm interested in having conversations about food deserts and what that means to our community. And so clearly we have a whole lot to talk about. And I'm excited to be on the panel and share what I know and what all the other ladies know about different topics. I'm rambling. But when we come back, we are going to have Gia let us know why she started this, how it came to be, and why us, because I really don't know why I was summoned, but I'm glad I am. So stay tuned to my Morning Coffee podcast, and we'll be right back with Gia.
Now it's about why us, why the three of us. Well, really, why us is because it's ironic. We're 3 generations of sisterhood. We're all members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And what's also great is that we all went to the same undergrad college, Cal State University in Northridge.
Matadors.
And I'm from the 80s, Tonya's from the 90s, and Syreeta's from the 2000s. So that's what makes our podcast a little different. We're 3 generations of a sisterhood. We're with diverse opinions, lifestyles, and viewpoints. And we all come from different areas of California, being Tonya from Northern California, Syreeta from the Lancaster area.
I'm not from Lancaster. I will not say that on air. I am from Inglewood.
Oh, from Inglewood. Well, I'm sorry, Inglewood.
Inglewood.
She changed up on me because 2 weeks ago she said something about Lancaster.
I just live there. I never be from there.
And myself from L.A. and Inglewood. So, and we all are different ages, so I think we cover the 50 club, the 40 club, and the 30 club.
Yeah.
So
we did that.
We did that.
So, yeah, therefore you'll be getting a variety of opinions from all generations. We're probably all three are alpha females. And again, why us three ago, as Tonya came to me with an idea, and she pumped me up and told me I was great and I would be good at this. And
that's what I do.
I believed
You're the
her.
best.
Yeah, I believed her, and I was like, oh yes, let's do it. And that's how it started. And then we, as Syreeta says, we summoned Syreeta. So when you're the youngest of the group, you get summoned. So we call you up and we say, hey, we're doing this.
And so are you.
So are you. But no, she brings, how can I say it?
Remember, we're on the air.
Yeah,
we can't cuss yet.
Well, she's the intellect. And she's a great woman. She has a lot to offer. She knows a lot, and she approaches life.
She's actually the earthier of the three.
Okay, yeah, she's
incredibly earthy.
Yeah,
earthy, crunchy,
she
for sure.
Definitely is more in touch with the
my
soil.
Yes.
My chakras.
Yes.
So that is definitely her. Her hair may be different the next time you see her. You never know. Also, our parenting. I'm a parent.
Oh,
She's a
that's
step
right.
parent, and I don't even know if Syreeta likes kids.
Right.
Facts.
So,
facts.
And
Tonya is a parent of 4 very active kids, like real active,
and raised 2 that were not mine.
And did that.
Yeah.
And her husband.
Tanya's the superwoman of the bunch. She wears lots of hats, and she does a very good job in all those hats. I'm amazed by all the things that she gets accomplished in a day. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see what she's doing, and I get tired. I take a nap, So I'm like, wow. And she goes she's like high speed, and I'm the senior of the group, so sometimes I'm doing
really.
Those things
you gonna call
slower.
yourself the senior?
Yeah,
of the group.
Of the group, yeah. I'm the eldest,
But
So
I have to take a nap as well. So what is that? What does that make me?
An old soul.
Okay. Yeah, an old soul.
An old
right.
soul. But I don't think that you really emphasize enough the bully ability that you have here in this group. Very passive-aggressive way of bullying us into doing things that you would like for us to do.
That's
so
where Tonya learned it
I
from.
am definitely trying to pick up on some of Gia's bully pulpit tactics, and hopefully I won't feel so punked every time we...
Well,
I don't meet up to her expectations.
She meets my expectations.
I'm
the no-nonsense of the bunch. I'm the straight shooter, no chaser. I'm going to give it to you raw. You might not like it, but I don't know how to sugarcoat things. So if you come to me and you ask me something, be ready. And it might not be what you want to hear or the way you want to hear it. But, I'm honest, and I love you.
I have a question. Have you always been like that, or does your profession lend to you becoming more in that way?
I would probably say my profession, because as a child I was shy. I'm still shy, so I was the shy one because I was the youngest in my family. So I think my profession had to play a lot in me being a little more straightforward now. I wouldn't say bully because
I would.
I don't want to get arrested because you guys saying I'm bullying and somebody
right.
wants to,
That is true. No,
yeah,
she is.
So I
that
wouldn't
is
call
true.
it, but I would just say I'm direct.
So on a more serious note, since we're on the subject, do you feel like individuals in law enforcement have to become more of an aggressive personality based on the profession?
Let's say direct. I don't like aggressive.
I don't like aggressive. I would say more direct because our profession is a profession where things happen in a split second. We have to make split second decisions, so you have to be very direct. You don't have time to be second guessing and thinking like, oh, should I go left or should I go right? You have to, you have to move quickly. People's lives sometimes are in danger, and you have to act. So you do have to be a direct thinking type person.
So individuals that, let's say, by nature are a lot less decisive, a lot more wishy-washy, would you recommend that they actually go into that profession to help them garner maybe a little more self-worth, feel a lot more confident, self-confidence?
Well, I don't think the profession gives you self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from within. And if you're a very passive person, I don't know if this is a profession for you to be in, because, like I said, things happen and you have to move quickly and you have to do things. So, but if it's something that, if law enforcement is a profession that you want to go into, I would say you should pursue it. It's a great profession. Don't get me wrong. I've been doing it for 28 years. I love what I do most of the time. Sometimes I don't. Right now, my job as a lieutenant, I'm more of a manager, so I'm managing a whole lot of people and a whole lot of things, and that's a whole nother animal we could talk about, because, people are special. I'm going to say special. I'm going to call them special. And managing a lot of people at the same time, sometimes it's a bit much, so I have to come home and have coffee. But what I do to release a lot of that stress that I do get in my job is I create. In that sense, that's why I have the mahogany. That's where the mahogany box came from me creating different jewelries. I started off creating bracelets, then I went to necklaces, and I went to earrings. And I'm all self-taught. I haven't had any classes to do what I do. And my jewelry has been seen on the talk. One of the hosts of the talk, Cheryl Underwood, has worn my jewelry. My jewelry's been in Thrifty Hunter magazines. It's also been on one of the hosts of E! News. So Mahogany Box has been around in the media. And after I started Mahogany Box, I have a love for headpieces. So I started the Mahogany Wraps. And here I have one of the Mahogany Wraps on, if you can see.
She was being selfish and didn't allow us to wear any of her things. Hopefully that will change.
Well, I wasn't being selfish.
She wanted just to have it all to herself.
No, I didn't want to give the people too much the first day. I want to gradually give them Mahogany Wraps.
What they want.
Yeah, Mahogany Box. So that's how it was. Not that I want you guys to have one. You guys will be rocking a hair wrap on the show. And
that didn't sound like we had a choice.
Yes, the bully pulpit. Again, there's the directness that that they say I am, me being direct.
So I want to follow up actually with that question, since we talked about law enforcement in Greek life. Since we're here, right?
I thought that was going to go somewhere completely
else,
different.
So I did want to ask. We were talking about self-confidence in people entering career fields.
Oh, geez.
Are there people in the African American community that become part of Greek organizations that then garner their self-esteem and self-worth? What are your thoughts?
Wow, I think that's a question for the therapist on the panel, because that was kind of heavy right there.
Damn. Yeah. So, it has been my experience. How about we start there? It has been my experience that some may find more of their personality and or self-esteem in their respective Greek letter organization. I'm trying to be as PC as possible, and I don't know why. Maybe because it's the first show. I have seen it, and unfortunately, I think when you don't have a strong sense of self, Greek letter organizations and what comes with it can give you a certain superpower that is a false superpower that you can, I don't know, say whatever you want, and you'll have an army of people backing you up just in case it goes left. Yeah, I saw that one play out at the Long Beach Step Show. Anywho, so I do believe that people get into Greek letter organizations not for the principles sometimes, but for that I'm now going to be the big person on campus. I'm now going to be fresh. Now I've known people in Greek letter organizations to want to get girls or guys because of the letters they rock. So yeah, and I believe that the way Greek letter organizations have been set up, there's a certain characteristic that each fraternity or sorority holds, and maybe we can all speak to this because oh, this is going to be real controversial. And I apologize for anyone who is not an Omega Kappa cutie. But we are known to be the prettiest and the baddest and the most intelligent. Maybe not the most intelligent, all of us, but most of us, Zetas in Southern California. And I'm saying this, but it's really true. And no one is going to challenge me on it unless you call, because everybody on this panel is an Omega Kappa cutie. So where to lie? Crickets. Crickets. Exactly. Because we are known to be the best of the best and the hottest of the hottest. So with that being said, that isn't always how people perceive the typical Zeta. Which I put that in quotes because it makes me upset, or the typical AKA, or the typical Delta, or the typical SG row, whatever that means. But we all kind of know what that means without saying it.
So my experience, when me and my line sisters made the decision to go Zeta, it was a well thought out, highly debated decision. And it wasn't just what that organization represented, but it was what we could actually bring to the organization. It wasn't about this organization can make me. It was what can I contribute to this organization? Do I see an opportunity to be able to bring quality or upliftment to this organization and move them forward in a way? So that was our conversation. So it was never, I need this organization to make me amazing. So it was pretty ironic when we did become members and would run into individuals that, didn't have much of a voice or didn't have the presence on campus or out in the world to then feel magnified. Now, in thinking about that, though, we should, right? We should be able to say, now I have this platform to be able to take some of my feelings, emotions, and the work that I'm passionate about and help to expand that throughout our community. So it's a double-edged sword, and I ask that because, there are those that an organization makes their character, but there are individuals that allows for it to be an assistance or a complement to them. And so my question is, where is that line? Where is that thin line in regards to how we're able to take a platform? And it's not just Black Greek platform. I said that, but you can look at government officials or law enforcement, any platform that we look at as held in high regard, and be able to take those platforms and use their passion, their talents, their skills to be able to magnify their platform. So where is the line into where they are using and abusing their platform to help make them or make their image, as opposed to using it to magnify their message and their work? Can you speak to that?
Wow. That's probably a topic that we probably need to further expound on another segment, because it's a lot in there. When I decided to join Zeta Phi Beta, I didn't join for what the organization can do for me. I joined because the organization was about community service, and I wanted to give back to my community as a young adult. And that's something that Zeta Phi Beta was doing in the San Fernando Valley. But also I joined because I figured I thought I could bring something to the table for my organization. It's not about they made me this person. I am who I am. I was Gia first, and I will be Gia always. So, and that's how I take on any project, anything I do. I'm Gia first. Just like, I might be a law enforcement officer, but I was Gia when I came out the womb. I'm going to be Gia when they put me in the ground or in a little crypt, wherever they decide to put me.
Wow.
So that's
we
how,
just got dark real quick.
Yeah, no, but that's how I'm guided by. I don't, just because I'm this and I'm that. No, I'm Gia first, and I always put that first, and I represent myself first before I represent anything else. I represent my name, because
that's all you got,
and that's all I have.
Shout out to Professor Scott.
Hey, exactly. Another three. We all had Professor Scott at Cal State University.
Right.
We did.
Yes,
so
we did.
Life lessons,
man.
So it seems that Cal State University really has a lot to do with Northridge. Has a lot to do with the three of us, in our in our growth and who we are and who we continue to become. Because I think we're constantly growing as women, and we will continue to grow. And I hope you guys grow with us on this podcast.
So I think we should table that conversation because it is a pretty in-depth conversation, but I appreciate the lob. And I would really like for us, should we do it now or when we come back?
Now's good.
Now? So I think that it would be a good idea for us to talk about our passions and the things that make us smile internally. And I'm interested in, how did you discover or develop your passion? How did you realize your passion was your passion? And I'm interested at what age did it happen? And how has your passion impacted your life and the lives of others? I know that was a lot, but,
Why don't you start off with talking about your nail passion? You have not yet told us how you go from analyzing people's minds and behavior to working on their hands and feet. I need mine done anyways. Can we talk after this?
We could talk about.
All right, great.
So the way so I've always known that I enjoyed nails, and it was something that I would do as kind of a hobby in high school. But it actually became a profession the fourth job I got fired from in mental health. And so I realized that I told myself that if I couldn't make it in this agency, then I wasn't going to be a therapist at an agency ever again. It wasn't for me. So undoubtedly, my ass got fired. But I didn't really think it through completely. I knew that I wasn't going to go back to community mental health, but I didn't know what I was going to do in the meantime. So I was like, well, what skill do I have to get paid? And so I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do nails. So I was the only English-speaking person in my nail school, because you can't even call it like cosmetology school. Like, I wasn't working on nobody's head. It was nail school. So I went to a nail school that was close, and it was a really interesting process. So did that. It was like 6 weeks or something. Like I said, I was the only English speaking person in the class. So it was a lot of like showing and pointing.
Did you help them out in the English? Or
No,
anything? No?
That's not what I was there for.
Okay.
I was there to get my stuff and go on about my business. And it actually ended up being a really lucrative and amazing experience. I was able, and I don't know how it happened, but the universe just led me. I went to Fashion Week in New York, and that was cool. I've been in about maybe like 100 campaigns. I've done campaigns for Dior and Marc Jacobs and Laura Mercier. And it paid the bills for a good 2 years while I found my way back to mental health as a therapist full time. But the really tripped out part about it is that I was actually a therapist who just happened to do nails, because every time someone would sit in my chair, we would actually start having conversations about whatever was happening in their lives. And for the person, it was a really different experience, because they would reserve that for their hairstylist, but only because forgive me how this may sound, but most nail people or manicurists don't speak English well. And so I was able to have a conversation with them. And so they were like, this is great. And I was able to process through a lot of amazing stuff with people that they were going through just by having that connection and not having the power dynamic that maybe being a traditional therapist has. So I made a lot of money doing what I love, both as my passion and as my profession. And then I came back to therapy. So I'm thankful for the experience, because it allowed me to get my head right, because I was pretty beaten down by the community mental health.
Yeah. It seems like a lot.
It may have been 5 times I got fired. I stopped counting.
5, wow.
Okay. Maybe.
We learn something new every day.
Yeah,
huh?
we do. Yeah,
Yes.
5 times. I don't know if I would have been able to survive 5 times
No,
being fired.
it wasn't exciting.
Okay.
But I'm not there anymore. I have my private practice now in Mid-City. So, if you ever want or feel like you need some support, holler at your girl.
Well, okay. So, passion. All right. Our passion. Well, you said you wanted to know at what age did we
How did it find you? How did your passion find you?
I think my passion was always within me. I just never tapped into it. As a child growing up, my father was very good with his hands. He made all our furniture, and he would also paint. He was a painter too. But when I was young, I didn't think I really had any artistic things about me, so I didn't really pursue that. It wasn't until I got older, I was probably in my 40s, I fell in love with painting. I went on a trip and I painted and some ceramics, and it came out very beautiful. I was like, oh my God, I love this. And it relaxed me, so I kind of fell in love with that. Then I came home and I had an opportunity to have a business, a franchise, and a Color Me Mine. So opportunity came, and I was able to purchase a franchise along with another friend of mine, sorority sister. We were co-owners, Color Me Mine, and I did that for probably about 5 years, where I was a ceramics art studio, and I really enjoyed painting. I enjoyed teaching classes in painting, and after that, I kind of stopped being creative for a while, and then I picked it back up with making jewelry. I've always made things, jewelry, and I would give it to my friends, and I like to make things. If I see something, I try to figure out how I can make it, how I can reproduce it, how I can change it. So it's just, to me, I just like creating. I'm a creative spirit. So after I started making jewelry, I just enjoyed it. I would just sit for hours. I could sit for hours and just make things, And I still, to this day, sit for hours if I see something, I want to make it. Like right now, I'm all over the place because as an artist, you're on to the next thing. I'm thinking about a design while I'm sitting on this panel with these ladies right here. But when I get home, I'm going to make this necklace. So
thanks. I'm glad we're able to hold your attention.
Which I'd love to be a recipient
Way to be
of.
present.
Yeah,
awesome.
So yeah, I think I did. It hit me in my 40s, my passion, and I enjoy what I do. Like she said, like Syreeta said, she's a therapist by day, and she's a therapist who happens to do nails. I'm a law enforcement officer who happens to design fabulous jewelry and head wraps and other
T-shirts
and t-shirts
and purses and boot cuffs
and jeans,
and
yeah, you name
and
it.
jackets.
Yeah, I like doing it. So that's, I guess. So I would say it was in my 40s when I got my passion. What I enjoy about my passion, I like when people call me or ask me to make something and I make it, and they get excited about it. I just think I'm just making it. I don't really think much of it. I'm like, oh, okay. But when I give it to someone and they light up, that does bring me joy, because it's like, wow, and they're like, oh, I really love it. I really love it. I really love it. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a necklace. That's how I look at it. But so when it brings joy to other people, that brings joy to me, and I enjoy that. And I enjoy helping other people find their passion and pursue their passion, because we all have a passion. And the thing about passion is it helps you. It helps me mentally, because when I'm dealing with a lot, I'll just go in my little creative space and I will create, and it takes my mind off all the bad things that are going on in my life and in other people's lives, because I deal with a lot, because people call me and they lay their shit on me sometimes. And,
There's our first one.
Yeah.
Yay! Our first bad word.
And you don't realize sometimes when you are a person who people come to, you kind of carry their stuff with you too, and that does weigh heavy on you sometimes. So creating is an outlet for me.
I would love to attest to the fact that Gia has actually put together she customized a cancer bracelet for me. So I had a few made, and unfortunately, I have given them out when need be, just as a support piece. But we worked through that process. So she's not only a creative mind, but she's an assistant in helping you find what it is that you are trying to do. So we talked about it. She definitely recognized my vision and put together an amazing piece. she's great help.
See, she's
So
doing it again. There she is again.
It's what
Tell
she
her,
does.
This woman will have you doing. She'll have you conquering everything. She just will.
Find Mount Everest.
She's like,
girl, you can do it. Go on and climb that. It's only a hill.
Right,
It ain't a mountain.
Is that me? Is she talking about me, Gia? I'm like, oh, really? But that's what she does, and I love her for that. But
speaking of which, that is my passion. Coaching is my passion, and I found that probably around my 20s when I realized that, many of my friends and even myself, we've had some pretty amazing coaches. I've always been a cheerleader, softball player. I have relatives that have coached, and there's the good ones and the bad ones, right? We've all heard about the bad coaches. They can be good at a sport, but being good at a sport does not necessarily mean that you can coach someone else through it, right? You have to it's a science. You have to be able to be a teacher, a motivator. And recognizing that around my early 20s is when I decided to jump in the coaching realm myself. It's really difficult at first because you realize, especially when you're dealing with young people, the biggest problem really isn't the kids. People will tell you all the time, oh, these kids are bad and these kids this.
The parents.
Most of the time, it wound up being the parents. So when you really start to delve into the art of coaching people, you are saying that you want to be someone that helps find physical and mental obstacles that are keeping someone from performing to their maximum and helping them hurdle that, get rid of that, whether it's their speed, their power, or their mother, or their sister, or their self-esteem, feeling like they can't do it. Being able to become a person that has such a powerful effect on someone that they can hurdle obstacles that they never thought they could became a passion of mine when I worked at the YMCA. I, again, was coaching. It's not a lot of money, right? Working at the Y is a place where you can design programs based on what your community needs. That's why each one is different. It's not every Y has this, every Y has that. You're able to, as a program director, construct programs that are specific for your community. And where I lived at the time was a place where we had a lot of kids and they didn't have a lot to do. So, being able to take heed and start coaching young people, it was a pleasure to do that. And there wasn't a lot of black ladies where I lived. So they always thought I was the other black lady. There was like 3 of us. It was me.
You lived in suburbia?
I was in Oakley, California.
Oh, okay.
It was me, Trina Wallace, and Angel Houston. And they never knew. They were just like, the other black one, the other black coach. But it didn't matter because the truth is we all had similarities in how we coached and dealt with other people's kids. Very respectful, very giving, very selfless. There were times we've all had to talk each other through situations on how to deal with maybe some sticky situations with kids and parents. But at the end of the day, when you see a child be able to hurdle obstacles and move past their obstacles and perform in a successful way, that is something that you just can't buy, right? You can't buy. And I'm not a creative, so I definitely am in a field professionally and passionately where we're servicing other people. And that is a service. I've been able to see many of my kids that were kids when we started. They're doctors now. Doctors, nurses, physical therapists. I coached a young baseball player who wound up in major leagues. But all of that being said, I love coaching because it is something that not only in sports, but in life. I now do trauma recovery coaching because, again, we're dealing with some obstacle that's keeping you from moving forward in your life. So that's my passion. I've seen bad coaching. I guess that was an inspiration too. And that came at a young age. But those people that can move someone past their barriers, move them forward to their goals and be able to carry that with them through their life. That's my passion. I love it. And I'm glad I coached you through this podcast.
And I know, well, speaking of coaching, you did a very good job. You said you like coaching. You're like a cheerleader coach, right?
Yes.
So you can do one of those like high kick things or whatever those cheerleaders do. You can do one of those.
Can we table this and talk about this offline, please?
Well, I'm just saying.
We do have a whole 5 minutes.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I can still do toe touches.
Okay, so
I can do a mean herky.
Okay, well, herky.
My right is better than my left.
Okay, well, maybe we'll be able to see one of those
Wow.
kicks one day on the show.
Or not.
Okay.
I'm going to say no to
So,
that.
are you saying it's time for break?
I'm actually going to say it's time for break, but I think maybe we should just go into
letting them know what we got coming up.
Letting them know, and what our intentions are for this. Why do we want to do this? Maybe.
Well, my intentions is to have a conversation with my sister friends to motivate, uplift, and awaken our viewers.
That was quick.
I like a good argument. You know, a little banter, a little bouncing ideas off of one another. I'm actually I have a thirst for knowledge and other people's opinions. I'm quite stubborn, so I love hearing things. Don't start. I love hearing things that give me a different perspective. I get bored with myself, so sometimes I might want to hear your opinion.
And for me, it's about educating. For me, always making sure that people have, two things. Comedy relief, because we need laughter in this crazy world that we have and that's going on right now.
Agreed.
But also education. I think some of the topics and some of the things that I have a lot of information about have been taboo and have been scary to talk about for a long time. So being able to lend some understanding to especially things like mental health is important to me. So I'm excited about that's my intention, is to educate and bring humor.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Want to tell them about next month?
Yeah, so tune in next month for My Morning Coffee, where the coffee will be love and entertainment. And our guest host will be Jackie Burke, and she'll be dishing up the flavor.
This was the shortest hour ever. We did it.
Yay.
One down.
Yay!
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. I'm sweating.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook at My Morning Coffee Podcast. And also you can follow me at Mahogany Box and Mahogany Raps on Facebook and IG, The Mahogany Box.
You can find me at Sand and Shores PR.
And you can find me, my Instagram is Syreeta, Syreeta, B as in B, boy, MFT. I know there's a lot of letters, sorry. And then my website is www.syreetabutlermft.com. And my Facebook is the same, I think.
Yeah. You can check out my website at TonyaMcKenzie.com. Easy enough. I'm always there.
Yay, we did it.
Thank
See
you guys.